an additional 240 Parks and Recreation staff members to provide a second cleaning shift at parks in all 5 boroughs. Adams, who is black, says the 2 moves are part of his administration's promise to provide a safer, cleaner, and more livable city. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
Crash if you're heading through. Silver Lake is sitting on the northbound side of the 101 after Silver Lake Boulevard, taking away that right-hand lane. We have a crash in South Pasadena on the 110 northbound as you get over to Orange Grove. That's still taking away that right-hand lane with delays starting at Bridewell. Stalled Big Rig on the southbound side of the 5 through Silver Lake. This is at Fletcher, and it's conked out in that right-hand lane, so it's got you slowing at Griffith Park. Coming through East LA, 10 eastbound at City Terrace. A crash here now moved over to the shoulder. A stall in Inglewood, 405 southbound before Manchester is still sitting in that right-hand lane, so brake lights there start at Wilshire. And Silver Lake on the 101 northbound after Silver Lake Boulevard, right-hand lane blocked by a crash. A stall in Commerce, 710 southbound at Washington, sitting in the second lane from the left, so that's a solid drive all the way from the 60.
Hi, we're Comparion Insurance Agency. Never heard of us? We know. But to help it stick that our local agents are insurance experts, we're going to say local agent 3 times in the next 5 seconds. Local agent, local agent, local agent.
Find us at ComparionInsurance.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
USA Basketball Managing Director Grant Hill confirmed that Clipper star Kawhi Leonard was sent home Wednesday because he wasn't healthy. Leonard's right knee started giving him problems again after 3 days of practices with the U.S. Olympic men's team in Las Vegas. Inflammation in Leonard's right knee forced him to miss the final 8 regular season games and the last 4 games against Dallas in the first round of the NBA playoffs. Boston Celtics guard Derek White is replacing Leonard on the roster. More than 20,000 people, including former President Barack Obama, showed up at T-Mobile Arena in Vegas to watch Team USA beat Canada Wednesday night in an exhibition game. Anthony Davis had 10 points and 11 rebounds off the bench. The team leaves today for Abu Dhabi to play exhibition games against Australia and Serbia. The Summer Olympics begins July 28th in Paris. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is the fastest growing talk radio station in Southern California. Home to 50,000 watts and an audience reach of 12 million listeners. KBLA Talk 1580 is a pioneer for Black audio content, including our groundbreaking $2 million climate justice campaign and the most loyal, influential audience. According to an independent research study by the polling firm Aviterus, for the 2nd consecutive year, KBLA Talk 1580 is the most trustworthy, reliable, and credible news source for Black audiences and beyond in Southern California. Let KBLA Talk 1580 power your advertising dollars. Our omni-channel custom marketing solutions are specifically tailored to connect with your ideal target audience. We leverage audio, podcasts, streaming, digital, social media, and local activations to get your message out to the Black community. Get in touch with our advertising team today at advertising@KBLA1580.com. That's advertising at KBLA1580.com. KBLA 1580. We've got your Black.
as long as you keep your head to the sky. Live from Los Angeles, you're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, your host and chief White House correspondent for KBLA Talk 1580. Hey, I'm in touch until you be in touch. Be sure to follow me on all the social media platforms at Dr. Nii-Quartelai. That's DrNiiQuartelai. Pro tip, just type in Dr. Nee, and like magic, there I am for your following pleasure. You can just follow me on social media. For your listening pleasure, you can download the KBLA app to listen to us live or on demand, or simply tell Alexa to play KBLA Talk 1580. And there we are for your listening pleasure, as I mentioned. And then be sure to subscribe to A More Perfect Union podcast. That way you can take us everywhere you go. So if you're standing in line at the TSA, as I was this morning when I left D.C., or if you're standing in line at the supermarket or anywhere in between, we got you covered. We are your daily national political news digest. From the White House to your house, we are bringing you the headlines that you need, and we're diving deeper into the headlines with opinion leaders and lawmakers and newsmakers to help us make it all make sense. And with that, it's time for your national news roundup. It's time for the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. And USA Today is reporting that the New York Times editorial board has called on Donald Trump. They've called Donald Trump unfit to lead, and they urge voters to reject his re-election bid. The New York Times editorial board called on voters to reject Donald Trump's re-election bid, alleging that the former president is unfit to lead a second term. Quote, Mr. Trump has shown a character unworthy of the responsibilities of the presidency. He has demonstrated an utter lack of respect for the Constitution, the rule of law, and the American people. That's what the Times wrote just recently. And they went on to say, quotes, instead of a cogent vision for the country's future, Mr. Trump is animated by a thirst for political power. To use levers, the levers of government, to advance his interests, satisfy his impulses, and exact retribution against those who he thinks have wronged him. In the piece, the editorial board outlined 5 essential qualities and values that they feel a president must have, and they say that Trump fails on moral fitness, principled leadership, character, a president's words, and rule of law. And so they're urging voters to see the dangers of a second Trump term clearly and to reject it. Now, you might remember that last month, the New York Times editorial board published a piece calling on President Biden to drop out of the 2024 race following a disastrous debate performance. The president has struggled to complete sentences during the showdown and articulate his pitch to voters. The Times argued in its op-ed at the time that quotes, the president is engaged in a reckless gamble, adding that it's too big a bet to simply hope Americans will overlook or discount Mr. Biden's age and infirmity that they see with their own eyes. And so the New York Times going on record, newspaper of record, going on record, calling on President Biden to drop out of the race, but also most recently calling on voters to reject the re-election bid of former President Trump. These are unprecedented times, to say the least. And speaking of unprecedented, NBC News is reporting that it's already disastrous. The Biden campaign's fundraising takes a major hit. President Biden's campaign has already suffered a major slowdown in donations, and officials are bracing for a seismic fundraising hit, with the fallout from a debate nearly 2 weeks ago taking a sizable toll on operations. It's according to 4 sources close to the re-election effort. 2 of the sources said this month is on a path to be down by possibly half or much more, one of them said, from large donors alone. Sources emphasize that the donations were down across the board. Initially, after the debate, the campaign reported an uptick in donors, but that quickly fell off, according to sources. A Biden campaign spokesperson pushed back against the notion that fundraising was down, saying, quotes, "That's not accurate." That's what spokesperson Lauren Hitt said. She went on to say that on grassroots fundraising, the first 7 days of July were the best start to the month on the campaign, and many of those were first-time donors. On the high dollar side, we've had folks max out since the debate, and so, we'll see. We can all read the numbers, we can all do addition and subtraction, and so when those FCC filings come out, we'll have a sense of who's right, who's wrong, and where that gray area just might be. Speaking of gray area, ballot deadlines add urgency for Democrats weighing Biden's fitness to run. The Washington Post is reporting that when the most vulnerable House Democrats met this week on Capitol Hill, they were split. They were split on the core question of whether President Biden should stay in the race. But they agreed on at least one thing. A final decision needs to be made quickly to meet state ballot deadlines and avoid potential legal challenges by Republicans. So should Biden bow out now before he officially becomes the party's nominee? Legal experts say replacing him on the ballot would be relatively straightforward. The process would become significantly more complex and legally murky, however, were he to drop out once he was officially nominated. What does this mean? It means time is tight. Biden is slated to become the nominee through a virtual roll call of party delegates on August 5th, 2 weeks before Democrats gather for the convention in Chicago on August 19th. Now, Democrats who've urged the president to stand aside want a resolution quickly so that they can avoid a procedural quagmire. Biden's backers, meanwhile, want the internal debate to end swiftly so that the party can re-solidify behind him with no ambiguity about his status. The agreement on the need for expediency, well, it ends there. We'll see what becomes of that. From all the drama happening in the Democratic Party to the Republican National Committee, where Ron DeSantis will apparently get a speaking slot after a change in the schedule. NBC is reporting that after initially having been given no role at next week's Republican National Convention, Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, and past rival of former President Trump, has now been added to the speaking schedule. The source would not confirm which night of the convention DeSantis would speak, but a source close to DeSantis said that his team had never been told he would not be speaking at the convention. Trump, who can control RNC programming as much as he likes, and DeSantis have had an up-and-down relationship over the past few years. Trump's endorsement of DeSantis in 2018, you might remember, helped him become governor, but the two spent months attacking each other during the 2024 Republican primary campaign, a race that DeSantis got out of in January after a poor showing in the Iowa caucus. And so since then, DeSantis has pledged to tap into his donor network to help raise money for Trump's campaign. A handful of events have been planned, and the first of which event was Friday at the Jackson Hole, Wyoming home of a retired Florida doctor. The couple has given more than $600,000 so far this cycle. And so is he being given a slot, or has he had to work for a slot? And who knows what time that slot might, what time he might be slotted in to speak at the convention. I don't know. Is it given prime time to you? I don't know if it's given prime time to me. Finally, look, Ron DeSantis will not be the only one speaking at the RNC convention. Kanye's ex, Amber Rose, is to give a pro-Trump speech at RNC 2024. You can't make this stuff up. USA Today is reporting that former reality TV star and Trump supporter Amber Rose announced on Instagram and X that she'll be speaking at the 2024 Republican National Convention in Milwaukee next week. She says it's true. #MAGA. This is the model who famously had a past relationship with Kanye West that ended in 2020 and briefly married rapper Wiz Khalifa in 2013. Her support for the former president's third bid for the White House was solidified in a video released earlier this year. And the footage, Rose dons a distinctive red hat with "Make America Great Again" slogan, and she's wearing a chunky gold necklace with a doll-sized head of the former president attached. What we won't do for a little bit of attention, what we won't do for our 15 minutes of fame. When we come forward, we're digging even deeper into the headlines, and then a little bit later we'll be joined in studio with Tom Perez, the director of Intergovernmental Affairs at the White House, also Special Assistant to the President. You all might remember him as the former DNC chair, as the former Secretary of Labor. And we'll be talking to him about why he's in Los Angeles and helping us to make sense out of some of the biggest headlines in the news, particularly Project 2025, which we have not been talking about nearly enough. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
Happy anniversary, KBLA!
KBLA Talk 1580 is now celebrating 3 years of amplifying our voice and uplifting our community. We deeply appreciate your support of this radio station and will always do our level best to earn your support. Here's to many more years of loving and serving our community. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
I know it's gonna happen when I follow you.
No one knows the importance of a great assist more than Lowe's and Leo Messi. That's why we've teamed up to give My Lowe's Rewards members 10 times the points when Messi makes an assist during CONMEBOL Copa America USA 2024. Activate this offer starting June 20th, so when Messi assists, you score. Shop the day after an assist to earn those extra points. Not a My Lowe's Rewards member? Join for free today. Visit Lowe's.com/Messi for more details.
Hey, I have a secret. I use Secret Whole Body Deodorant because more than just my armpits stink.
Oh, can I use it where my bra rubs under my...
Oh, yeah.
And what about down there? You know, my...
Totally. 4 out of 5 gynecologists would recommend it. So I tried it, and now I get 72 hours of freshness from my pits to my...
Ooh, I love that it's a spray.
Me too. And it comes in sticks and creams too. Go get your Secret Whole Body Deodorant.
To help combat climate change, LADWP is helping neighborhoods have better access to electric vehicles by awarding nearly $130 million in EV rebates to customers just like you. From big savings on used EVs to building new charging plazas, LADWP is charging ahead to help all Angelinos experience the benefits of EVs. Get rebates of up to $4,000 for a used EV and $1,750 for a charger. Learn more at ladwp.com/EV. That's ladwp.com/EV.
SoCal on July 14th, Big 3. We're back. The world's greatest basketball in the summer. The Big 3. There's simply no comparison, no competition.
They not like us.
That's right, they not like us. We own the summer with our traditional hard-nosed brand of basketball. The Big 3, founded by Ice Cube. It's professional 303 basketball with former NBA greats and Hall of Fame coaches. Come out to the Honda Center July 14th. Hang with your homeboy Ice Cube and watch the greatest game in the summer. It's your homeboy Ice Cube. It's the Big 3, Season 7. The hottest game of the summer. I'll be in the house with your favorite Big 3 players and Hall of Fame coaches. Get your tickets at big3.com/tickets. Oh, yay.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we do more than just talk.
You got a big mouth.
Hello, Joe, you're up. Welcome. We're unapologetically progressive, and we don't black down.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and just a reminder that the countdown is on. July 23rd, I am releasing my very first book. It's called Kamala, The Motherland and Me. This is it right here. I am super excited about it. I think it's some of my best work yet, and obviously it's very timely, as a lot of folks are really leaning in, wanting to learn more about Madam Vice President. The book is really about challenging some of our assumptions about the Vice President, about the continent of Africa and ourselves. I had a chance to cover her historic trip to the continent, to the motherland last spring, and came back with so many notes and so many stories and so many insights that I felt it was my duty to put it in a book. And so if you go on to Barnes & Nobles and Amazon, you can order the book now. It's on pre-order, and it will be out on July 23rd. July 23rd. And so more on that front. But for now, we are continuing to dig into the headlines, dig a little deeper into the headlines. We'll soon be joined with Tom Perez, who's the Director of Intergovernmental Affairs at the White House. He's a former chair of the Democratic National Committee, also a former Secretary of Labor, and we'll have him here to help us make sense out of some of the biggest headlines, including Project 2025. We're going to continue to do our part to make sure that people understand what's in that 900-page plan organized by the Heritage Foundation and company, and what it means for you, what it means for your household, what it means for our community. And so, we are going to do our part. But in the meantime, everyone is talking about this presidential race, and The Guardian is reporting that Trump leads the 2024 race in a new poll as some Biden aides reportedly discuss how to convince him to end the campaign. This is one of the latest stories. The New York Times is reporting that some aides to Joe Biden are strategizing ways to convince the president that he cannot win re-election, and that stepping aside to make way for another Democrat is the best way to keep Donald Trump from returning to the White House. A White House spokesman denied the story, but the New York Times is saying, quote, some longtime aides and advisors to President Biden have become increasingly convinced that he will have to step aside from the campaign, and in recent days, they have been trying to come up with ways to persuade him that he should. This according to 3 people briefed on the matter. A small group of Mr. Biden's advisors in the administration and the campaign, at least 2 of whom have told allies that they do not believe he should keep trying to run for a second term, have said that they would have to convince the president of several things. They said that they have to make the case to the president, who remains convinced of the strength of his campaign, that he cannot win against former President Trump. They have to persuade him to believe that another candidate like Vice President Harris could beat Mr. Trump, and they have to assure Mr. Biden that should he step aside, the process to choose another candidate would be orderly and not devolve into chaos in the Democratic Party. These discussions were recounted by 3 people familiar with them, so that is what that's what we're hearing. In case you're wondering, well, what else has happened today? Well, Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic House Minority Leader, wants to talk to every single one of his lawmakers about Biden before deciding on the next step. That's what Punchbowl News is reporting. Cori Bush has been added to the list of House Democrats, not saying if they think Biden can win. That's an important note because Representative Cori Bush of Missouri, is in a tight race for re-election. She's one of those down ballot races that will be impacted based upon who's at the top of the ticket. We also know that a meeting between top advisors to Biden and Senate Democrats was reported to have not gone particularly well. And most voters think that Biden and Trump are, quotes, embarrassing. But the former president has the edge in a new Pew Research Center poll. And of course, George Clooney. We're learning from a report from Politico that George Clooney gave Barack Obama a heads up before publicly announcing that he thought Biden should step aside, and Obama did not offer any objections. And so, these are, just what we've been learning, within the past hour or so. Punchbowl News reports that the meeting between top advisors to Joe Biden and Senate Democrats, again, did not go particularly well. We learned of that within the past half hour. Campaign chair Jen O'Malley Dillon, as well as top White House aides Steve Ricchetti and Mike Donilon, went to meet with the president's allies in the Capitol to reassure them that the president has a path to win. According to Punchbowl, senators were skeptical. And so this is one of the biggest stories that is continuing to grow legs. And as credible, reportable information becomes available, we'll be sure to bring it here to you. That is this is the latest. This is the latest. This is what's going on. In other news, we know that the president has pledged to get more humanitarian aid into Gaza. This has been an issue. This continues to be an issue. The war between Israel and Gaza and the need for humanitarian aid. Well, remember the pier that the U.S. was building? Well, according to USA Today, the U.S. built $230 million pier in Gaza is shutting down after 2 months of troubles. Plagued by looting and weather-related problems, a high-profile $230 million pier that the Biden administration said would bring massive amounts of humanitarian aid into the war-ravaged Gaza is shutting down after just 2 months. We know that National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said, quotes, "I do anticipate that in relatively short order we will wind down pier operations." Sullivan suggested that the temporary floating pier built by the U.S. is no longer essential for Gaza's supply of food, water, and other humanitarian aid because of key border crossings that have recently reopened during the Israel-Hamas war. The first shipment of humanitarian aid arrived at the pier on May 17th. During the State of the Union address in March, President Biden announced that the construction of the pier, he announced it then, saying that it would enable massive increases in the amount of humanitarian assistance getting into Gaza every day. Yet the pier has been plagued with problems from the start. Troops failed Wednesday to re-anchor the pier used to ferry humanitarian aid to Gaza, towing it instead to Israel and raising doubt it will be functional again. That's according to the Pentagon. And we know that mobs hijacked the first convoys of aid in May. Bad weather and rough seas have shorn the pier from shore at times. And so it's been easier said than done. But just another headline that I'm sure this president administration would much rather not have. When we come forward, I'll be joined in studio with Tom Perez. He is the Director of Intergovernmental Affairs for the White House. He's also a Special Assistant to President Biden, former DNC chair, former Secretary of Labor. There is no person I would rather be in conversation with to help us make sense out of some of these headlines than Tom Perez. More when we come forward. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580's A More Perfect Union.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. Vice President Kamala Harris is in the Piedmont Triad. She's scheduled to speak at a campaign event at the first black high school in Guilford County. The vice president's visit to Greensboro's James B. Dudley High School will emphasize the stakes of the election for North Carolinians and black communities. Governor Roy Cooper and Mayor Nancy Vaughn are set to attend. The trip comes several days after First Lady Jill Biden made another campaign stop in Wilmington, where she highlighted support for veterans and military families. Hip-hop icon and New York native Flavor Flav is heading to Paris as the U.S. water polo team's hype man. The 65-year-old black hype man jumped in a California practice pool with the U.S. women's water polo team this week, wearing a uniform bearing the number 24 for the 2024 Olympics. He agreed to sponsor them for the next 5 years after one of their players posted on Instagram that the team needs support. They hope to snag a fourth gold medal. Flavor Flav is helping the men's team as well. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
Hi, we're Comparion Insurance Agency. Never heard of us? We know. But to help it stick that our local agents are insurance experts, we're going to say local agent 3 times in the next 5 seconds. Local agent, local agent, local agent.
Find us at ComparionInsurance.com.
Time with family, laughs with friends, and cash back? Discover's got you covered on the last one. That's because Discover doubles all the cash back you've earned on your credit card at the end of your first year with Cash Back Match. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
This is the KBLA Sports This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Are you interested in catching up on all the latest entertainment news, trending topics, and exciting interviews? I got you. Tune in to The Raw Report with Robin Ayers, Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. I'm your host, Robin Ayers. Join me every weekday with some of the best entertainment contributors in the business as we break down what's going on, who's got next, and what not to miss. Only on The Raw Report with Robin Ayers.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Looks like Bobby needs a ride again.
Grab the keys. Let's take our auntie to the swap meet. Grab the keys.
Whether you're giving rides or hauling gear, do it all in a Chevy SUV. Head to your local Chevy dealer, where well-qualified buyers get 1.9% financing on all 2024 Malibu, Colorado, Blazer, Equinox, Trailblazer, and Traverse limited models. Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
1.9% APR for 36 months. Monthly payment is $2,860 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 15.8% must finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 7/1/24.
Hey LA, today I'm here to talk to you about Grid Alternatives, which is a nonprofit in LA that focuses on renewable energy. We serve communities who have been left out of the renewable energy sector. We offer paid job training, and in 13 weeks, you can become a solar installer. 80% of our graduates get hired into the industry, and once you're hired in the industry, you stop at a high, medium income. That could be $20 an hour or more. 80% of our graduates get hired into the industry. Call today so you don't be left out at 323-861-0105 or gridalternatives.org, gridalternatives.org.
Hey, LA residents, it's planting season and the perfect time to get shade trees growing around your home. LADWP and City Plants are giving every resident up to 7 free trees. That's right, 7 free trees delivered right to your door. Trees are great for the environment, help improve air quality, and can help you save on your bill when you use less air conditioning to stay cool indoors. Learn more at ladwp.com/free trees. That's ladwp.com/free trees.
KBLA Talk 1580 invites you to join us in our climate justice campaign partner, LA City Council member Curran D. Price Jr., as we celebrate the grand unveiling of the South LA Greenway, Saturday, August 3rd, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Augustus Hawkins Nature Park, 5790 Compton Avenue in the city of Los Angeles. Join us for a green and healthy festival with free food, planting activities, tree adoptions, nature walking tours, Zumba, yoga, sound baths, and more. It's summer, time to get outside. We look forward to seeing you at the dedication of the South LA Greenway, Saturday, August 3rd, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Augustus Hawkins Nature Park, 5790 Compton Avenue in the city of Los Angeles. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, LA City Council member Curran D. Price Jr. and KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment. LA's 99 neighborhood councils form the grassroots level of the Los Angeles city government. The system was created to connect LA's diverse communities to City Hall. While neighborhood council board members are volunteers, they are also public officials elected to office by the members of their community. Neighborhood councils advocate on issues like homelessness, housing, land use, emergency preparedness, public safety, parks, transportation, and sustainability. They also provide local expertise on the delivery of city services to their various communities. Neighborhood councils are open to participation by anyone who is a part of the fabric of daily life in said community. This includes those who live, work, or own property or a business. If you are interested in stepping up to join your local neighborhood council, visit www.empowerla.org. That's empowerla.org. KBLA.org. It's time to think globally, but act locally. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
We knew you'd stick around. This is LA's home for progressive talk radio. Welcome back to KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and really honored to be in conversation with Tom Perez. He is a special assistant to the president and director of intergovernmental affairs at the White House. He's also that Tom Perez that was chair of the DNC. He's also that Tom Perez who is secretary of labor. And I couldn't think of a better person to be in conversation with in studio in Los Angeles than Tom Perez on today.
It's great to be with you. As I told you before, you're kind of a legend in our neck of the woods, Doctor. The guy Steve Benjamin, who's a good friend of mine, said he's a legendary figure.
Well, he's very kind, and you're very kind to be here. And there are so many headlines in the news. And, you know, I've got to ask you, given your resume, given how much work you do each and every day with leaders in government, from the local level to the federal level, what is your message to jittery Democrats that are out there right now that feel like this moment, they're feeling overwhelmed by this moment, this unprecedented moment where people are hedging and they're not so sure about the leadership of the party, about the future of the ticket? What's your message?
Well, my message is very simple, which is Joe Biden didn't perform well in the most recent debate. Debating has never been one of his strengths. Governance has. And we have gotten more done thanks to Joe Biden in the last 3.5 years than any 3.5 year period in my lifetime. And I've been around the block a little bit. And there's no debating the fact that the differences between Joe Biden's vision for America, you know, vision of inclusion and opportunity. I look at what's happened in communities of color over the last 3 years, investments that are transforming lives, giving housing to people who'd been formerly homeless, giving $35 insulin to people who'd been paying $300 a month for that. So many examples. There's no debating that. I just came from a meeting with leaders from across the state. We probably had 200-300 people in the room talking about the rich tapestry of diversity here in California. Spoke to a woman from Haiti. President Biden just granted temporary protected status. That's a fancy term for, you know, people who are coming here from a country where it's frankly lawless, and Haiti is lawless right now because of what's been going on there. They can come here, they can get a work authorization, they can integrate into the community. That's the Joe Biden that I know, and I've known him for almost 30 years. And I understand the concerns from one debate, but one debate does not make a man. And the breadth and depth of how we have, under his leadership, been able to transform people's lives for the better is, I really do think, unparalleled. You know, I think about the family in Wausau, Wisconsin, that is drinking clean water in their home for the first time ever because we're replacing all lead pipes. I think about the family that now has access to high-speed internet. And remember the pandemic? People driving to the McDonald's or the
Starbucks,
Starbucks to try to, you know, get into the their internet so they could go to school. That's no way to learn. And that's Joe Biden's moral compass. And so just as I hope people never judge me on one night. I used to be a pitcher because I'm Dominican, and it's a statutory requirement for all Dominicans that you play baseball. And, you know, I had a pretty good fastball, although it was deceptive. It was slower than you think, which is why I got into another line of work. But, you know, I prepared assiduously. And there were a lot of nights where my fastball had movement and my curveball had a lot of tilt. And, you know, once in a while, it was flat. And fortunately, I hoped that people would judge me, based on my entire body of work, and that's where, again, the stakes are so high. We were talking about immigration at this more recent meeting. The differences could not be more stark. Immigrants are sucking the blood of our nation. If you watch the most recent debate, almost every malady known to humankind was the fault of immigrants, according to Mr. Trump. And so, the vision for America, it's just so stark. He's talking about democracy. He's talking about Dobbs. He's talking about decency. And when I think of Joe Biden, I think of a fundamentally decent human being who's gotten so much done. He's not the orator that maybe others have been, but we're not voting for a debater-in-chief. We're voting for a commander-in-chief.
Yeah, but I'm sure you would agree that it's not just the message, but it's the messenger, right? And I think there are a lot of folks that are sort of caught up on the messenger. And for example, since we've been on air today, we saw that Representative Cori Bush, who's running in Missouri, who is facing a tough re-election fight, when stopped at the Capitol and asked if she believed that President Biden could win, didn't answer that question. Well, that flies in the face of the support that we've seen from leaders of the Congressional Black Caucus and Congressional Hispanic Caucus, who have said no uncertain terms, that they are riding with Biden. And so, again, in your role as Director of Intergovernmental Affairs for the White House, you're talking to elected officials who will be impacted up and down the ticket every single day. What is your message to them, the folks who are unsure whether or not this president's coattails can ride them to victory?
Yeah. Well, my message again is, I think, very straightforward. First of all, is I understand your concerns, and so does the president. He was the first to say that he did not perform up to his standards. And, he'd been to Europe and back twice in the 10 days or 12 days preceding. Again, not an excuse, but it's a fact. And again, I'm looking for, and I think people are looking across America right now, and elections are about the future. What happened, and past is prologue. What you have done in the past is a pretty good indication of what you're going to do in the future. He's fighting for middle class fairness. He's fighting to make sure that people can buy a house and live in it and afford it. He's already fought and taken on successfully the pharmaceutical industry, because so many people in this country are making choices between their medicine, their rent, their food. And Joe Biden finally, and pharma is a formidable foe. And so if you're wondering, is he up to the task? He took on pharma. He's taking on Putin. He's taking on challenges of global significance, and he's taking on challenges in your community, making sure that, we have a child care tax credit. We reduced childhood poverty, thanks to Joe Biden, by 40% with the child care tax credit, but we couldn't get the Republicans to make it permanent. That's a huge difference. And so, the bottom line that I'd say to folks is, my friends in elected office and not elected office who've called me and asked me about this, every one of them is motivated by the best of intentions, and their concerns I take very, very seriously. I've had a privileged perch over the last few years, and it wasn't just in the job I'm in now, but when Vice President Biden was serving President Obama, I worked very closely with him. And the Joe Biden I saw then is no different than the Joe Biden I see now. When we had that horrific accident in Baltimore, where 6 construction workers plunged to their death when the container ship hit the bridge, I was with the president hours later, and his number one concern, we got to get to the families. you get and he directed me up to Baltimore, and I was up there that afternoon. And within literally days, we had made commitments to get things done. That's what it's about, and what elections are about are the future. And I look at how I think about Damon Lee Taylor, who was a man I met in Harrisburg, proud African American, a proud veteran, fell into homelessness after he served, had some mental health issues. And with the help of the VA and the American Rescue Plan, that's one of the first bills that the president passed, he's now a homeowner. And so, we talk too much about statistics.
Yeah.
I like to talk about people.
Yep.
And who are the candidates fighting for?
Yeah.
And what has the president done? Because past is indeed prologue.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think you're right about that, and I'm so glad that you're here and that you are shining a light on some of the real people stories, because it's not lost on me that with all the headlines that are swirling, we are losing sight of the real people who have a whole lot to gain and a whole lot to lose in this election. When we come forward, we want to look to the future. I want to ask Tom what his experience has been working with Vice President Harris. I also want to get your take on Project 2025, and again, making it very clear who has the most to gain and who has the most to lose if this 900-page plan is put into action. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580. Our city's hottest weeks of summer are approaching. If you're 60 or older, you're at risk of heat stroke or worse. Extreme heat can kill. That's why KBLA Talk 1580 is part of our year-long climate justice campaign, has partnered with the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power and the LA City Department of Aging for LADWP's Powered by Equity event, Heat Relief for Seniors Resource Fair. Join fellow LA seniors who hope to beat the heat and stay safe on Monday, July 15th, 10 a.m. at the Watts Labor Community Action Center in South Los Angeles. Learn about LADWP's Easy Save and Level Pay programs to help lower your monthly electric bill. And there will be tips and resources to be ready and safe in the heat. LADWP customers 60 years or older will be eligible to receive a portable air conditioner while supplies last. Personal ID and your LADWP bill are required. Contact your LA Department of Aging Neighborhood Senior Center for Cool LA Heat Relief for Seniors participation details, or visit www.ladwp.com/events.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month. If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Hey guys, do you want male performance in the bedroom and do you want it now? Get it in 47 seconds or less. For the first time, you can have instant male enhancement. Introducing Nox 47, the topical male enhancement that works in 47 seconds or less. Satisfaction guaranteed. Finally, after years of scientific research, our proprietary formula will allow you to perform in the bedroom like never before. Just imagine that little blue pill on steroids. No reason to settle and wait when you can get instant performance now. Forget about pills and potions that make you wait hours or up to 30 days to work. That's yesterday's news. Nox 47 is brand new. the hottest thing for men. And you don't need a prescription. Call now and get your free supply for a limited time.
To find out how to get Knox 47 for free, call now. 800-617-1621. That's 800-617-1621. Free bottles for limited time. Call 800-617-1621. That's 800-617-1621.
The Supplemental Security Income Program provides monthly payments to help meet basic needs, like putting food on the table, paying the rent, or buying new shoes for growing feet. You may qualify if your income and financial resources are low, and you are 65 or older, or an adult or child with a disability, or who is blind. Call 1-800-772-1213 or go to ssa.gov/SSI to start to apply. Produced by Social Security at U.S. taxpayer expense.
So the thing no one tells you about periods is that your flow changes every day, and so should your tampon size. Tampax has 5 absorbencies to match your changing flow. If it's uncomfortable to remove, go down a size. If it leaks, go up a size. And only Tampax has a leak guard braid to help give you up to 100% leak and odor-free protection. All-day comfort and protection for up to 8 hours for under $5 a month. Based on average U.S. consumer usage at manufacturer's suggested price, however, pricing is at the sole discretion of the retailer, excludes 8-count packs.
Watch out! You got me!
The galaxy is safe once again.
In the pretend universe, kids play with pretend guns. In the real world, it's up to us to make sure they don't get their hands on a real gun. If you have a gun in the house, keep it locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the 3rd time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GED.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate loses and love wins.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm delighted to be in conversation with Tom Perez. He is the Special Assistant to the President, Director of Intergovernmental Affairs at the White House, also former DNC Chair, former Secretary of Labor, just the person that a person like me wants to talk to, a journalist like me likes to talk to on a day like this. What do you make of Vice President Harris's leadership? You've worked very closely with Vice President Biden turned President Biden for many years. You worked with President Obama. You have a lot of experience working with leaders in and around the Oval Office. What do you make of Vice President?
Oh, she's a rock star. And I not only know her, but I know her sister, Maya, and her brother-in-law. I worked with at the Justice Department, Tony West. When I was at the Civil Rights Division, Tony and I worked very, very closely together. And she has been just a rock-solid partner with the president. She was at Essence last weekend, and it was very well received. And, you know, she has articulated the administration's vision with vigor. She is just historic. I mean, this was a historic selection by President Biden, and what I love about the vice president is while she recognizes that she made history, what she really wants to do is make a difference, and she has been such an eloquent leader on so many issues, whether it's women's reproductive health, whether it's combating gun violence. I mean, going back to her DA days and AG days, taking on corporate greed. She knows that from her AG days. I think her life experiences, the skill sets, the core competencies that she brings to the table are exactly what we need at the moment. And the president, the vice president have really been just rock solid partners in the effort to make sure we build an America that works for everyone and not just a few at the top.
In our remaining moments together, I want to ask you to square these two things, these two major headlines in the news. I don't think we're talking nearly enough about Project 2025, really the 900-page how-to plan really developed by the Heritage Foundation and Company. And recent attacks that we've seen in the media referring to Vice President Harris as sort of a future DEI president, diversity, equity, and inclusion president. How do you square those two headlines? And what's your message to people out there who, may feel that all things connected to diversity, equity, and inclusion are antithetical to the things that make us a more perfect union?
We are the most diverse nation on the planet, or one of the most diverse nations on the planet, and that's exactly why we are the strongest economy on the planet. Our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion is exactly what makes America great. And this is not a philanthropic commitment. It is an act of enlightened self-interest. When everybody has a seat at the table, and not just a seat at the table, but a megaphone, that's when we are at our best. I was former labor secretary in the state of Maryland. We did a study on the contributions of immigrants in Maryland. And what we found was that a native-born Marylander was less likely to have a college degree than a foreign-born Marylander. The healthcare sector would be in the tank, but for the diverse populations of Maryland. The construction sector would be a shell of its former self, of its current self. And by the way, all the things I'm saying about Maryland are true about America. We look at how we are able to compete, and the companies that have been ahead of the curve on understanding their markets. For instance, when I used to talk about DEI, I would talk about cultural incompetence, and I used to own a Chevy Nova. Now, for those of you who don't speak Spanish, the word Nova means it doesn't go. I would like to talk to the people at Chevy who are marketing to diverse audiences a car that stands for it doesn't go, Nova. That's a funny example, but you know what? The presence of people like Kamala Harris and others, and you, is why we are a thriving economy and a thriving nation. And the difference between these two candidates on everything is night and day.
We are going to continue to do our part to illuminate that exact point. Next week is the Republican National Convention. Every day next week, we're going to pick apart Project 2025 because we know that it's just that important that people understand who has the most to gain, who has the most to lose with that. You are welcome to come back again anytime. Our thanks to Tom Perez, the Director of Intergovernmental Affairs for the White House. Big name in the Democratic Party, a very important and essential voice. We'll have to leave it there. My thanks to The Village that helps us produce a more perfect union each and every day. Our executive producer, Tavis Smiley. Our sound engineer extraordinaire, Miles Lowe. Our podcast publishing guru, Mr. Odell Bodie. And, of course, our show producer, Robert Battles. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and you've been listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. Remember, don't panic. Organize. Do what you can from where you are with what you have.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. Vice President Kamala Harris is in the Piedmont Triad. She's scheduled to speak at a campaign event at the first black high school in Guilford County. The vice president's visit to Greensboro's James B. Dudley High School will emphasize the stakes of the election for North Carolinians and black communities. Governor Roy Cooper and Mayor Nancy Vaughn are set to attend. The trip comes several days after First Lady Jill Biden made another campaign stop in Wilmington, where she highlighted support for veterans and military families. Hip-hop icon and New York native Flavor Flav is heading to Paris as the U.S. water polo team's hype man. The 65-year-old black hype man jumped in a California practice pool with the U.S. women's water polo team this week, wearing a uniform bearing the number 24 for the 2024 Olympics. He agreed to sponsor them for the next 5 years after one of their players posted on Instagram that the team needs support. They